All right, last one. School days, school days. It's time to wake up in the morning. Listen, aside from a screeching alarm clock, there's nothing worse to a school-age child than waking up to one of their parents gleefully singing that song. Yes, that was my experience. Mom would come in singing School Days. Not cool. But do you want to know what is cool? I'm going to share with you three things. If you're willing to take just 10 minutes out of your crazy busy day and just sit in these three things and ruminate on them, it could forever change this transition that you're about to go through. All right, so check it out. Here we are, that time of year again. Listen, after 17 years of running a private family-based practice, aside from Christmas, I would argue that back to school is probably the most chaotic time of the year. Would you agree? Would you disagree? So here's the three things that I'm going to push at you. Number one, ask yourself this. What grade is your child going into? I know this sounds silly. I know exactly what grade my child's going into. But consider this. There's a huge difference if your child is transitioning from kindergarten to first grade. And there's a huge difference if your child's transitioning from fifth grade to sixth grade, middle school. There's absolutely a huge difference if your child is transitioning from that middle school, call it eighth grade, to high school, ninth grade. And what about, is your child is he a senior in high school? Is she a senior in high school? Absolutely, completely different things that you're going to reference. And here's the importance of it. Of course, you know what grade your child's going into. But what are they experiencing? What's different? What's their environment? What are they being asked to do? What are the stresses that they're going to put up with? It's human nature. People don't like change. Simple. We like routine. We like rhythms. And this is a huge disruption. We just had a fast and furious summer. It always flies by. So yeah, it's a transition for the child. It's a transition for the parent. But guess what? It's a transition for everybody. Everybody. You got the school buses out there. It's changing your pattern, your drives to work. People are going to be stressed because things have changed. They're not what they once were for the last 2 or 3 months. So what grade is your child going into? And here's the importance of it. Depending on what grade they're going into, it's going to determine what type of changes and stress that they're going through. Now, number one, you can see this nice big backpack that we have here. And I know it sounds silly, but here's the thing. If your child is going to wear this bad boy 5 days a week, times have changed, my friend. These kids, they're asked to carry their whole entire life in that backpack. Like legitimately, some of these kids are carrying around 5, 10, 20 pounds each and every day. So if they're going to do something on a regular basis, do you feel like it would be important to ensure that they're doing it fundamentally correct? You see a lot of this back in our day. This was totally normal. It's no different than new moms with babies on their hip. It's no different with women with purses. And it's no different with kids with backpacks. You tend to favor this one side because you know it's cool, it's hip. But if you're carrying around 20 plus pounds and you're asking your body to walk around like this, as silly as it sounds, yes, it's going to affect your kids. This is the kind of simple things. If you're willing to just take the time, look into it, think about it, prep your kids up for success. And ultimately, it's going to set you up for success. So I can't stress enough, as silly as it sounds, the backpack wearing is super important. It's no different right now in corporate America. We're talking about ergonomics. We're talking about posture. We're talking about sitting appropriately versus standing best. Ultimately, what our school system is doing, and this sounds horrible, but truthfully, ultimately what it's doing, we're basically training our kids to be corporate athletes. Think about this. If you're a parent yourself, 80% of Americans, they sit at a desk all day. That's what I call a corporate athlete. You're training your body to be hunched over. Ergonomically, we're all guilty of this. We sit on our cell phones. We sit on our computers. We're constantly bent over. Some of us are driving for long periods of time. Everything in our life forces us to bend over into flexion. And from a health standpoint, it's not great. If your posture is not strong, that means there's stress on your spine. If your spine has stress on it, more than likely you're subluxated, which means there's pressure on your spinal cord, which means there's irritation to your nerves, which means there's inflammation in your body. And now more than ever, people are super stressed out. I always say stress attacks the weakest part of the body. But yeah, everybody, I don't care what age you're at, we all have stresses. And that's why I ask you, one of three, what grade is your child going into? It really is going to determine what kind of conversations you need to have. Don't be the typical parent, and I'm not here to judge. I'm not the perfect parent. None of us are. No matter what you do, you're going to screw your kids up, right? So yeah, I got baby number 5 coming. So 14 down to newborn. I've experienced it. I know what the different transitions of grades are like. I know the stresses that they're going to go through. And depending on what grade they're going to go into, environmentally, yeah, kids aren't exactly nice at school. And physiologically, depending if you have a son, daughter, their body are going through changes. So I want to set you up for success. Think about this. What grade are they going into? What impact is that? What changes are going on? Are they carrying heavy books? Is their backpack loaded? And then ultimately, as silly as it sounds, yes, they're going to be sitting at a desk pretty much 8 hours a day. We're training their bodies to be in flexion. We're training their muscles. That's normal. And I know what you're thinking, big deal. They're young, they're vibrant, they're outgoing. Life is fine. Here's the bottom line. Every single child needs to get checked for spinal health. The old days of scoliosis checks of bending over and touching your toes, that stuff is so outdated. It's been disproved decades ago, yet there's still some organizations that use it. So here's the bottom line. Get your kids checked. They're about to undergo massive changes. Stress attacks a weakest part of the body. If you haven't had them checked, you ought to, and here's why. Many of the issues that we have as adults, it's because it starts in our school years. All right, now that we got that out of the way, we know your kids are going to whatever grade they're transitioning into. They're wearing their backpack appropriately. Ergonomically, they're going to be good. They're going to be strong. Hey, at least they're aware of what the heck's going on. Number 2, what activities are your kids involved in? This is serious. As a parent, I want you to just sit in this and think about that. Far too often, we as parents, we almost use this as an excuse. No, not consciously, but subconsciously. We use it as an excuse. We're just so busy. We're playing Uber driver for our kids because we have to go this for their activities and baseball and soccer and band. And it's true. I'm not downplaying it. But don't use it as an excuse. Sit in that and try to think, what can we do differently? We want to be actively participating in our child's life. Yes or yes. Of course we do. But at the same time, we do want our relationships to flourish. We do want to stay connected with our partner. We don't want to get overwhelmed by the crazy fast-paced world that we live in, which includes your kids' activities. So what activities are your kids in? This is going to determine a lot, because if they are in fact in sports, if they're doing any physical, if they're doing competitive cheer, dance, gymnastics, ultimately they're stressing their body. Now, physical activity, that's a good stress. However, it's still a stress. Your body cannot tell the difference between a good stress and a bad stress. Stress does attack the weakest part of the body. Are your children in band? Man, some of those musical instruments are bigger than I am. I don't want to slay those things around and have to carry them all freaking day. So absolutely, it's going to impact their physical health. Here's the bottom line. Most children, we get asked this all the time, but most children, they're required to get some sort of sports physical. Here's the problem, and I talked about this earlier. Scoliosis. The old scoliosis checks, they're a thing of the past. You get a full spine x-ray of your child, it's very blunt what's going on. Most physicals, they overlook a lot of things. Let's face it, most kids are young, they're vibrant, they're outgoing, they're healthy. Of course they're fine. So signature, boom, you're on your way. Let's go do this. Slow down a bit. If your kids are going to be active, that's wonderful. Cardiovascular, physiologically, fitness, that's wonderful. Problem is, from a nervous system standpoint, you do not want to live subluxated. If your body's not functioning at the best of its ability, you're going to age a heck of a lot less graceful. So here's the thing. When you do a functional scoliotic check, you look at an 8-year-old like this, their pelvis is nice and shifted. You know what? Big deal. That's not scoliosis. It is a big deal. Western medicine is going to downplay that because here's why. If this child is in fact 8 years old, they're already having some shifts in their posture. They're starting to get some curvature in their spine. Do you think that this 8-year-old is going to have a growth spurt? Absolutely. And depending if it's your daughter or your son, is going to really determine when it happens. This right here is how scoliosis starts. But then, because that child feels fine, they look good, they feel fine, it's no big deal. In the meantime, let's go straighten their crooked teeth, because that's such a big deal. And I'm not downplaying that, by the way, because I know we live in a cruel world, and God forbid we send our kids to school with crooked teeth. Here's the issue with this. Yes, they're going to look good. Yes, they're going to feel good. Not going to be a big deal, right? It's only because we live in a very reactive medical system. And then one day, these little kids of ours, they grow old, kind of like you and I, and all of a sudden, boom, we transition into a full blown out scoliosis. And we are just dumbfounded. We can't figure out how the heck could this possibly have happened? Our bodies are always giving us signs and clues. And that right there is why you want to slow down and ask yourself, number 2, what activities are our children going to be in during this school year? And then lastly, what are you going to do different? And I sincerely mean this. We live in this fast and furious world. If you have children, if you're watching this video, you understand, man, ever since we have had kids, life is flying by. None of us can deny that. Year after year, they just fly by. So my question to you is, what are you going to do different? Talk to your spouse, include your children. What are we going to do differently that alters the start of the school year, that alters this first week of school, that alters the first couple months of school, so that a year from now, things are different? If you're going to treat this year the same as last year, regardless that your child's going into a different grade, regardless that your child could be doing different activities, you're not going to be happy with the outcome. This is about emotional intelligence. This is about overall health and well-being. This is about your child functioning and living to the best of their ability. So don't be afraid to slow down, have some of these uncomfortable conversations, include your children, and start speaking to them like mini adults, because that's what they are. Speak to your children like mini adults. So let's recap this. Number 1, what grade are your children going into? Number 2, what activities are your children going to be in this year? And number 3, what are you, as mom and dad, as your children's guides, what are you going to do differently this school year?